Well, hello, my radio friends. Now, in this video installment, I'd like to bring forward a set that I truthfully don't play very often. It's one that sits behind and kind of buried amongst my other sets, if I may say. This is a Stromberg Carlson model 501. It is a 5-tube 01A set. Well, that's not altogether true. One can use a 112 output, and a very, very good performing set. I've had it in my collection for a number of years. In fact, allow me to show you. Here is my eBay invoice I kept inside the cabinet. I purchased this in November 21st of 04, and I paid $58.77 for it. Now, keep in mind, it was not in this condition when purchased. In fact, I have a picture here. This is from the eBay listing. It was in rather poor condition. Somebody had installed an audio jack where a switch should have been, and it was in fairly poor shape. But I saw the possibilities to it, and so here it sits today. Oh gosh, let's see, about a little over 18 years ago. So, with that said, let's touch on the controls in the front, if I may, and to explain kind of what all they do. The upper left here is exactly what the name implies. That's your volume control. The bottom left switch here, this is your antenna switch, and it helps tune the set to a particular antenna length. This, of course, you have two main tuning knobs. The one to the left operates a single tuning cap, and the one to the right operates two tuning caps in unison. And as long as we're talking about that, let's take it one step further. This last knob here, this third knob, when one rotates this, it actually will rock the very last tuning cap. Like I stated, there are two caps on a common shaft, but this actually takes the third cap on the rear of the shaft and allows it to rock independently of the forward one, just to get everything to track in just the way it's supposed to track. And it works very, very well. Of course, to the left over here, this is your phone jack, if you want to listen to headphones. A neat novelty is the volts gauge on the center of the cabinet. And of course, it has a little red mark for 5 volts, where you optimally want to place it for 01As. Over to the right, this is your voltage control for your battery voltage. And to the bottom right here, this is, of course, your main on and off switch. Rather simple to operate. I think it's a rather attractive set. With that said, let's take a little peek under the hood, shall we? Typical Stromberg Carlson fashion. It is a very well crafted set. One can see we've got 5 tubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and lastly, of course, 5 all the way to the right. A moment ago, I touched on the tuning knobs, and allow me to elaborate. This left tuning knob, notice when I rotate it, this single tuning capacitor to the left rotates with that particular knob. We come to the right, I rotate the right tuning knob, and one can notice both tuning caps turn in unison. But a neat little marvel, and maybe kind of difficult to capture in camera, is this third knob I touched on. When I rotate that third knob, that rear tuning capacitor, not the stator, excuse me, not the rotor, but the stator actually tilts and rocks. The rotor stays in place. It's the stator that actually rotates and wobbles back and forth. And the reason for that is to get these two caps to track in unison. They had a difficult time in the 20s getting 3 tuning capacitors to track in unison, and that fine tuning adjustment knob allows one to do that with the rear capacitor. But as you can see, it's a well-crafted, a well-designed chassis. All your battery labels and battery connections on the rear of the chassis right here. Antenna and ground to the left. And of course, if one wanted to, they could plug in here an external amplifier, as they call it. It's certainly one of my more favored sets. I find it to be rather attractive. And I will say, it is it's a very good, listen to me, it's a very good performing set. But I have to say, you know, it doesn't do anything better than any other 5-tube set of the period. And I'm sure it was a quite costly set at the time. Now, there is one caveat that I do want to touch on, and it is probably the Achilles heel of all these Stromberg Carlsons, the 501 and its bigger brother, the 601. There are pot metal tuning gears behind this front panel. There's one here, and there's one to the right. Guaranteed, they're going to be warped and deteriorated. I seem to recall somebody saying they had one with original gears that was good. That was, if that's the case, that's very, very unusual. Luckily, I found a vendor locally that I was able to procure metal gears to replace those. Was not cheap. But, however, there is a group member on the radio and speakers of the 1920s on Facebook. Once again, radio and speakers of the 1920s. That as we speak, he is working on making 3D printing those gears. And that will be fantastic, because when I had to purchase mine, they were not cheap. They were in the neighborhood of about $85 a piece. And that was, like I say, 18 years ago. So I'm not sure what they'd be today. So anyway, hopefully in the near future, we'll have some good 3D printed gears to hopefully get these sets up and running for those that have them. Thank you all so much. I know I got long-winded on this one. I do apologize. And if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask. And of course, it is a Stromberg Carlson Model 501. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. And as always, until next time.